Some governors at the Bank of Central African States as well as academics met in Yaounde, Cameroon last week to deliberate on strengthening the economic situation of the countries in question. Louis Rodrigue and Michael DB with the insight on the structural reforms taken at this meeting.
The 20 governors of the Bank of Central African States as well as academicians met on January 25 in Yaounde, the administrative capital of Cameroon. The purpose of the meeting was to find a way out of the economic crisis in the countries of the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa, the CEMAC. The Central Bank of the Central African States said it has no longer intention to inject its liquidity to support the economies of the CEMAC countries.
Nous avons des réserves, encore des réserves.
We have reservations still, but in all the exporters of the hydrocarbon countries, the reserves has fallen. We have Algeria, we have Nigeria. It is also normal that our reserves have also fallen. And to avoid this, we who are tied up in the euro through the fees exchanges are avoiding to go further. It is based on this that we take measures.
Pour éviter d'aller plus loin, c'est pour cela que nous prenons des mesures.
Speaking of measures, the bank has adopted some in order to assist the countries of Central Africa temporarily in the face of the drop in the price of oil. Among these measures account for the decline in the rate of directors of the bank, which has decreased from 2.95% to 2.45%, the steady increase of the volume of the liquidity injected into the bank system. The crisis in particular in the Central Africa is one of two origins. The decline in prices of raw materials, particularly oil, also the security crisis which Boko Haram and the northern part has caused, and also the crisis in the DRC, which for the moment is reabsorbed but has left a lot of legacy. Angan Chama, who has spent 7 years at the head of the institution, has benefited from his foundation. He is expected to relinquish his position next week at Chad Abba Muhammad Tuli.
Now, to shed more light on that issue, we have an economist on the line from University of Chang, Cameroon, Professor Avam Desiree. Welcome to the program. Now, how can these structural measures enacted by the BEAC help CEMAC states out of this ongoing economic crisis?
Not all countries can be put in the same category. When you look at the economic structure of our countries, there are countries that are 90% dependent on oil. There are others that have diversified their economies, like Cameroon. A number of measures will obviously be taken, and most of them aim at cutting down on the lifestyle budget, particularly for the senior government officials. For example, in Cameroon, there are talks about reducing fuel costs and missions abroad in a bid to protect the most vulnerable classes by attacking the prestige spending of this government. These measures, as I have seen, aim to rebalance public finances while protecting the most vulnerable groups.
Now, is it ideal to put in place structural measures, especially for countries going through tough times?
It is not a question of whether it's ideal or not. The principle of adjustments is that when you spend more than you make, it's recommended that you reduce your expenses to the level of your earnings. That's all. That is the principle of adjustment. You keep track of your spending habits, and then you see what you can cut down on or what you can do away with. This has been suggested. There are short, medium, and long-term measures. The heads of state were told to encourage integrative projects. The objective is to stimulate sub-regional integration to guarantee strong growth so that countries depend exclusively on oil. We need to diversify the economy. This is a normal situation. The world economy is not a long, quiet river, rather. It is undergoing cyclical developments linked to strategic coalitions between oil producers.
Well, thank you for joining us. And that does it for this week's edition. You can interact with us via our social media platforms, both in English and French. Join us again same time next week. Thanks and bye for now.